Hello and welcome everybody. Thanks for coming. My name is Vlad. I'm a CEO and co-founder of a company called Revenue Grid, and we've got Darren joining me. Go ahead, Darren.
How you doing? I'm Darren Knapp. I run all of our business enablement and operations at Slalom, mostly supporting our salespeople, our recruiters, our staffing process. We've got a pretty wide breadth of operations that we do, which is great because we've got a lot of different connections with Vlad.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so we are at Revenue Grid. We are a revenue intelligence platform, and what do we do for a living? We are fighting with potential revenue leaks out of your pipeline. So that's why today we're going to be talking about what is revenue leakage, how we are in theory fighting this. We're going to be walking through the real life examples, how Slalom addresses this problem and how Slalom fights with the revenue leakages. So let's go ahead and start. Leaky pipeline, what is it, right? I think that every sales leader may look back at the quarter and say, oh gosh, last quarter we could do better. We could be higher in revenue. That's definitely the case for us, and raise your hand if you guys agree with this, that looking back in the quarter, we could do better results for sure, right? So that's clear example of a potentially leaky pipeline. Most of all, you have a leaky pipeline if you have that gut feeling. Gut feeling is good, but what is what to do with this? Is this a problem or not? So I don't know if it makes you happier. You are not the only one in the world, because analysts and industry experts are saying that many companies are actually suffering from leaky pipelines, and it's the revenue which is not being collected. That's potential revenue which could be here but is not here. So yeah, you're not only one, you're not alone if you feel that it's a problem, and there are clearly ways to find those leakages and attack those leakages, fix them, patch them, fix them forever. Let's look through the examples. So what could be the examples of a leaky pipeline? It could be anywhere. Yeah, every pipeline to some degree is very similar, but very unique to a particular company, obviously. Examples of that could be, hey, conversion on the lead generation stage and how leads are converting to MQLs. Industry standard may be higher than you are seeing in your company, and it's a very good sign that probably you have a leakage, you have to improve the process. Or somewhere in the sales process, moving from stage to stage, you may see that, hey, on average, or we would expect for us internally, slightly better conversion rates, but they're not here. Another example of a leaky pipeline. Or one of the cases in customer success area preventing us from renewals to the level we would like to have those renewals, and it's churn, and it's another example of a leaky pipeline. A lot of examples like that. So if I'll switch a bit nerdy mode, and let's go through the definition. So smart people said that revenue leak is any unnoticed or unintended loss of revenue or revenue potential. That's the definition of it. Why those revenue leakages are happening? Why? Like, can we just make sure that they don't even exist? Well, it's a combination. We're all people, we are working through the complex processes, and we may drop the balls here and there, and like it's totally fine if it happens. We can try to improve the situation. Revenue leakages are happening by many reasons. It could be insufficient processes, or processes are not being well defined. Or maybe processes are good, but people are not following those processes. Or maybe it's not enough technology to help people to be efficient and move fast. Maybe it's not enough data which is arming decision makers on making right decisions in the right momentum. Many, many reasons of that. Good news is that revenue intelligence software as us, we are one of the players in that market, intended to help you to identify those leaks and then patch or automate the processes which are around pipeline generation, so then you have a much better picture. Going forward, let's look at the real life examples, and that's why we have Darren here, because Slalom is our customer for, I guess, 5 years?
Yeah,
pretty much. And yeah, we've done an amazing job together, and it was a lot of fun to go through that process with Slalom and with Darren personally. So that's why we wanted to have him on stage today to kind of talk to us about those examples and what they've done at Slalom to be able to identify the leakage first, or leakages first, and then how they would fight with those leakages. I'll give you the clicker though.
All right, thank you. All right, I'm going to start out with the first one, and it might feel a little bit obvious, but number one is invisible relationships. So we get a lot of contacts and relationships that get stuck in Outlook, and we can't see them in our CRM and Salesforce. Without that, we can't do planning, we can't do relationship planning. That's really important for us. We can't leverage that who knows who type of data, and we can't run them through our contact modeling that we've built, which is kind of like a propensity to buy type of process. So why is that important to us? We know that when we can plan and have a really comprehensive relationship plan for a contact, we have a much deeper relationship with them. We have more meaningful conversations, and all of that turns into more opportunities, more revenue opportunities. So having a good plan is really important to us, and if it's all stuck in Outlook, we can't do that. Number two, obviously, leveraging your who knows who data is super important for sales. Having those warm leads is really important, but also when it comes to the relationship planning, we have a lot more people involved because we can see all those connections thanks to having all that data in there. And then the third piece, of course, is getting it through our propensity to buy model. If the data's not in Salesforce, then we can't see it, we can't run it through the model, but it's really important for us to understand who's the right contact at these accounts that we should be reaching out to. That increases our number of opportunities that we can open as well as our win rates. So let me throw out a couple things to you that makes me feel like we are definitely on the right track here. When COVID hit in March, April, May 20, obviously a lot of things stopped. We stopped doing what we've done for years, which is having a weekly measurement of sales and a pipeline opened. We stopped it completely. It felt really weird not to do that on a weekly basis since we're a sales organization. Instead, what we measured was the number of new contacts that we were meeting and the number of meetings that we were having. And guess what? 2020 was a record year for us. It was our highest sales year ever. 21, of course, we broke it. 22, we'll break it again. But point is, we shifted from looking at pipeline, and we focused completely on relationships and new relationships. So we knew we were onto something. Number two, historically, we've measured about 25 to 30% of our sales comes from new contacts, from new relationships. And so now we use that as a baseline metric for the health of our pipeline. So all the time we're looking at, how's our pipeline shaping up with new buyers compared to existing? And without having that data come in as new contacts, we won't be able to measure that. So it's super important for us. You might even be asking yourself a little question like, why not just have a big campaign and gather all these new leads from campaigns? And of course, we have campaigns and we get new leads like that, just like all of you do. But we've also found that just really pouring a lot of energy into strengthening our existing relationships. It's easier, it's more effective, and it's certainly less money. So for us, developing those existing relationships is critical. So let me go on to the next slide here. The next one is not enough meetings. This one might seem like, well, how is that revenue leakage? Well, if we don't have enough meetings that are getting created for us, then when we back it up, we can see what's going to happen. And if I skip to the punchline, it takes 63,000 meetings for us to generate 1 billion in sales. We've done all the analytics on that. 63,000 meetings to generate 1 billion in sales. We are not a $1 billion company. So this is a lot of meetings that have to get created. For us to grow at scale, we've got to do it in a way that is fast, that's easy for our salespeople. So partnering with Revenue Grid and using their tools like scheduling and BookMe and sequences, our salespeople are getting all these meetings created for them, and it takes very minimal effort on their part. And so customers are creating their own meetings, their lead generation partners are creating their meetings, their coordinators and other operations folks are creating their meetings, but it's happening at a scale for them that allows them to actually service more relationships than they were before. So since 2019 to today, our salespeople can service more than 2.5 times more relationships effectively than they were. So this is really helping. As the business scales, we don't have to just continue that one-to-one growth of our salespeople.
So Darren, let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
As far as I understand, the logic was that you were first think through the pipeline, think through the revenue generation process, and potential signs of a leakage was just kind of a conclusion, common sense conclusion, like, hey, we have contacts we're engaged with, they are not in CRM, and it means that we are not putting them into the process, it may be the leakage.
Right.
So then you've identified this, and then you've decided to fix it using the tools.
Yeah.
Well, the question is, and similar with the meetings, right? So first you think through this, and then you double check that, yeah, we could have more meetings, and if we have more meetings, it generates more revenue, and then you apply technology on top of that.
Right.
The question is, why would you need the power of the revenue intelligence tools? Because there are much simpler tools which are straightforward to those particular problems. Like you can
Yep.
use Einstein Activity Capture and get the data into Salesforce. You may use Calendly and you may drop those invites or time slots. So why the power of the whole platform?
Right. It's all about the customization that your tool provides that I wasn't able to get through other options.
For example?
I've been in this space, in this sales kind of enablement operations space for much longer than it might look like just by you looking at me right now. And I've seen it where, I don't know how many of you have auto turn on contacts or auto create contacts turned on, but I've seen it at other companies and I can tell you it's created more of a mess than what it was probably worth to begin with. I've been at places where there's been a dedicated operations person just to clean up those sales contacts that get created from Outlook. And right now we have on average about 10 to 20 contacts per week that get created through the sync process that we have to go put manual eyeballs on.
Oh, wow.
That's
Okay.
it. The customization that we were able to do has cleaned up so much. We don't want every contact that's in Outlook to come over to our CRM. I'll give you two examples. Number one, many of our consultants who go to work at clients will get a client email address. So if I'm working as a consultant at ABC Company, I might get darren@abc.com as an email address. Revenue Grid would see that, they'd pick that up, they'd put that in Salesforce. I don't want that, that's noise, but you don't do that. Thanks to your signals, we're avoiding all of that. The other thing is what I call non-humans. And I don't know if any of you, like I said, have turned on this auto-sync contact, but you might get things like Western Sales Region at whatever.com or, Moscone Center 211 at whatever.com, right? And these non-human email addresses get picked up and added into Salesforce. Well, we've eliminated all that. We have this non-human check that you were able to put in. Through those customizations, it's cleaned up so much and made the reality of turning on an auto creation of contacts much easier to support and clean up than what I've seen anywhere else.
Cool, thank you.
Yeah. With meetings, it's kind of the same way though, in terms of customization. We have very specific rules and processes. The biggest driver for us was metrics. When a meeting is created, we want to see the meeting in its unique form once. So if we meet with John Smith at ABC Company, we want to see that meeting one time, regardless of how many Slalom people were there. And many of these native tools out there and other tools, they will create one meeting per employee or per user. And so if you go to the John Smith record and you say, how many meetings have we had? It says 20. Like, we haven't met with John Smith 20 times, it's maybe been 2 times. So that unique count was a very key metric for Slalom and for our leaders. So when we were looking around for solutions, that was a big driver, and you were able to solve that. So,
Gotcha, cool.
The other thing is, and I'll talk about it here in this next slide, is we're doing the same sort of meeting acceleration with our recruiters. So it takes, just like it takes sales a lot of meetings to create a sale, it takes a recruiter a lot of meetings to make a hire. We need to accelerate our recruiters' ability to schedule all these meetings, which are like interviews. But we were able to customize that whole process to match our custom objects and our other records thanks to your tool and thanks to the customization that you're able to do. Slalom is a little bit different when it comes to hiring since we're a professional services company. Most of the hires that we make are actually for staffing projects at our clients. So if we can't fill those jobs fast enough, then there's a risk of us not being able to staff a project. And if we can't staff a project, that's absolutely a revenue leakage, money right out the door, because we have to pass on that opportunity because we can't staff it and fulfill the job. So it's really critical for us to have that flow of meetings get created quickly. And as you can see, we were able to reduce how long it takes recruiters to schedule meetings by 80%. It's really unbelievable. They've got custom URLs, they just bang those things out everywhere. They've got sequences going on. It's quite remarkable how much we've sped that up. And LinkedIn, we've been able to really boost the number of meetings and interviews that we get from LinkedIn messages through your tools, your scheduling tools, and your book me tools. So it's been
Lovely.
fantastic.
Lovely.
I'm going to move on now to the third use case, but it's a little more forward-looking. So this is around our sales process not being followed. And we haven't started this yet. I've had a lot of conversations with your team, and so I think I know where we're going with it. But it's all around coaching. Slalom has grown a lot this year and even last year. A lot of new folks. We have a sales process, just like all of you probably have a sales process. And why do we have that? Well, because we feel that if you follow our process, your probability of winning is going to increase. So it's important for us, as we've got all these new folks, to help guide them through the process, kind of coach them along. Also, we want to provide some visibility to their leaders so that when there's coachable moments, we can show that to the leader and they can kind of help alter behavior and show the better path forward. So sales is a team sport, right? This is not an attempt to enumerate the number of times people have broken the process. That's not it at all. It's really all about helping go through that learning curve with all the new people and remind folks of what our process is. So we've got 3 things we're going to go after. For us, the first one is pre and post meeting emails. So when we have a meeting, it's kind of our process to, within the first 3 days before that meeting, to send out an email, kind of like your agenda, here's the topics, any sort of homework, looking forward to it. And then after the meeting, within 2 days, we want to have a post email that goes out. And it's a recap of how, what was that meeting, what are the next steps, right? All of that stuff. And we feel that by doing that, it really kind of engages the customer more, and it increases the probability of creating an opportunity from that meeting. And down there at the bottom it says, if we could just increase the number of meetings, if we can increase the number of meetings that turn into an opportunity that gets opened by just 1%, that's tiny, just 1%, that's 30 million in sales that we could recognize. So we really believe that that's very achievable just by prompting folks. Hey, did you remember to send that email? It's just little hints like that. And then after the fact, can we measure? Here's the meeting, here's the ones that did follow process and not follow process, and then show the managers, here's where some of your people are at.
And do you expect those hints in the Salesforce UI, or it's like through Teams or through Outlook? How do you want those reminders, if you would?
Thankfully, you're flexible with that, right? Email, I hate to say it, but email still feels like king. We do use Microsoft Teams, but it feels like on some of those reminders, a little email nudge might be the best case for us.
Gotcha. Yeah. Well, everything is doable, so that's just a question. How do we
exactly? Do that? The second piece is around more of the actual opportunity part. So as you're going through your opportunity, are you including the right people? We can look at the different stages that we're going through in the opportunity and how long you've been in stage 1 or stage 2 or stage 3, and kind of prompt, hey, it looks like you've been sitting in this stage 2 or stage 3 for a while. Have you engaged the right industry expert or the right product expert? And we'll be able to see, here's all the people that are on that opportunity team. Is there any industry expert or product expert that could help? And then we can prompt and say, this would be a great opportunity for Sally Smith to come in and help. She's an expert at integrating Slack with Salesforce. By bringing in the right people, it can really kind of kickstart a stalled opportunity, and that will absolutely help that leakage.
So you want those reminders because you have formal playbooks, or more like, hey, we have this observation and then people pay attention to that?
Because Slalom is growing so fast, people are, the new folks don't know who to contact, and it's kind of a blind spot for these industry experts or these product experts. They don't necessarily see all of the opportunities that get opened in their space. Mm-hmm. So by helping expose those things, all of a sudden you can get an industry set of eyes that says, oh, they're recommending me to get added to this opportunity. That's an opportunity that I'm interested in.
Gotcha.
So it's kind of a two-way street. It'll help these new people who don't necessarily know the whole team landscape of Slalom, and it'll also help these industry and product experts see places where they can a little bit more proactively step in.
Gotcha.
And the third one is just following our deal planning fields, these kind of BANT type of fields. I know that there's a million different tools out there that could probably do that, but the reality is I don't want to overload people with noise and signals and reminders. So I'm not planning on just continually telling people, you've got to go update this field. In fact, I kind of don't care if they do or they don't. If they're progressing that opportunity and it's not stalling, then they're probably doing something okay. And so we actually don't officially measure like the population of those fields, but we do feel like when you do follow the process, it will help. And if you are stalling, we're going to remind people more. And we also are keen on understanding individual salespeople's kind of like history and win rates and trends. And so we'll be able to target different people or different markets in different ways. So all of those kind of nuances we can bring forward through the different signals that you've got. And kind of that second and the third one, the involving the industry folks and the BANT fields, those tie down to that second bullet point and the impact at the bottom. If those will impact conversion rate, and if we can just increase conversion rate by just 1%, that's 60 million. And these are very achievable numbers if we can do the right prompt, with the right targeted message at the right time.
Cool, thank you. Thanks for those examples.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll go back to more like general track, why, how to perceive the revenue leakages and why it's important. So how to stop revenue leaks, it was a very nice chat and the real life examples, because it shows that in reality, the fixing of the revenue leaks, it's a combination of everything. You may have perfect people or like hunt and hire perfect people, which would be so perfect that they are following all of the processes and they never let leakage happen. But well, good luck with that, right? We are all people. Back to your first example, auto creation of the contacts. We may force all of our account execs to make sure that they accurately create new contacts in Salesforce, but they will never do that accurately. They will still skip. So here's where technology can help. But then there could be a process, like your last example, you have nearly formal / slightly informal playbooks and you want people to follow those playbooks but still be smart about that. So the process is here, it's not necessarily being followed. People are here, technology is here. In reality, ability to find the revenue leakage, it's a combination of everything. I would say RevOps, SalesOps, operation works, but technology can help a lot with this. And that's why revenue intelligence actually exists. So take a look at that. Type of a software definitely can help. Why it matters? Well, Darren provided a lot of those good examples, and just this 1% improvement brings so much results for Slalom because it's a volume game. Here it's a very simple example, and again, fictional figures, but say the same leaky pipeline with the 30,000 of incoming leads, which is generating 8.2 million of sales results at the end, can be tripled if you are accurately improving those rates, conversion rates, or whatever rates are existing on every stage. Here in my example, just by 5%, maybe aggressive, maybe not, to the sake of an example. So at those stages, conversion from leads to MQLs, from MQLs to SQLs, moving through the stages of opportunity, renewals, etc. Only 5% boost, which does not sound like crazy achievement. It's doable, it's technical. I mean, we all have a feeling that, hey, we could do that. And if you follow that, then you can see the end results. Simple math, it's just the math. I mean, understandable why, but it's impressive to compare the results. 8.2 and 24, like this is why revenue leakage really matters. And again, no way to fix it with the technology only. No way to fix it manually only. It should be always a combination. Thanks God there are tools which are helping you with this, and there are methodologies which are helping you with that. Thank you. Thanks everyone. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good job. Thank you.